Hey guys, it's Amber, and this week I wanted to talk to you about my coming out story, as well as give you a few tips for coming out. So I decided to do this video in honor of National Pride Month. It's June, it's the last day of June, so I figured I would whip it out before the month is over. And it's just something that I think is very important if you're coming out of the closet in any step of the process. I think the more people's stories that you can hear, the better it is, the easier it becomes, the more you understand about the whole process, and the less you feel alone. Coming out of the closet is not one big moment of bam, and here I am, I'm out of the closet. I think there are many steps and different types of out of the closet. There's obviously coming out to your friends and family, but I think there's also coming out to yourself. There's being comfortable in public, acting your sexuality and expressing your sexuality. There's coming out at work. There's just an array of versions of what coming out means. And it doesn't happen in an hour, and it doesn't happen in a day. It's an ongoing process. So for me, it all really started back when I was younger. I remember the moments where I found myself lingering a little too long at a female and just having these feelings, and I remember like stopping myself. Like, I was scared to think that way and I was scared to feel that way. So I would just be like, oh no, like that was nothing, you weren't looking at them. And then as I got older, I felt more and more guilty for feeling these attractions to women. And so that went on for a long time. I mean, I continued to deny it personally until my sophomore year of high school, and I did the very typical fell in love with my best friend thing. I think at that point in my life, my feelings started to become undeniable. I couldn't ignore this attraction I felt. I couldn't keep it in anymore. And I think the friendship became a bit abnormal because of that. I think we had almost an obsessive friendship. We hung out 24/7, but it was almost a little more than that. And then finally, one day after she had come over and we had had this whole like intense moment, kind of cuddling, and I was singing a love song repeatedly and had it stuck in my head and everything. And then after that, so she left, she went home because we had had a sleepover, and then I posted, so she knew something was up, and we kept like, she had something up too, and there was just this weird thing, and neither of us wanted to say anything to the other person. And then finally, so I had a blog. She asked me to post whatever it was about. She was the only person I knew in real life that knew my blog. And so I posted that I had feelings for her and everything. And she was like, it's such a relief, and said that she had feelings for me too. And that progressed into a very rapid, like, we're dating. Very rapidly after that, I came out to my friends. I guess I wasn't as worried about what they would think. I mean, we all had this mutual group of friends, and there had been some bisexuality and everything else going on through different people, so we came out with it. And I had a sister in high school, a foster sister, so I ended up telling her because I knew she would find out at school anyway, and I didn't want her to hear it from someone else and go to tell my foster parents. So that all happened, and everything was fine and good. Then about 2 months into the relationship, so I had been having a really hard time in my foster home. And I think this is a large portion of it, this whole secretive relationship that I had going on. So my foster parents, actually had me in family therapy with them. And I hated it. It was awful. I was very quiet during the whole thing. But finally, one day in therapy, they asked me, they're like, what is you and Becca's relationship? And I broke down, bawling my eyes out, and said that she was my girlfriend. And I mean, they hugged me, they were super reassuring, told me they loved me, and it didn't matter. And then it went on to ground rules because she couldn't have sleepovers anymore and whatever. That was that. It still caused some fights and feuds about rules and stuff, but that's typical teenage stuff. I mean, they never were going to kick me out or anything like that. But yeah, it wasn't until my first relationship that I really even came out to myself. I mean, I denied it time and time again, despite these overpowering feelings for women. After all of that, though, through the last few years, I've continued to explore my sexuality because I've never fit one label clearly. Like, none of them ever seemed to make sense for me. I used to have a Trevor Space account, and I would talk to people there, and I would post forums and be like, how do you know? How do you know what you are? Like, I needed a label so badly. And nobody really gave a good answer. I mean, not the right answer, not whatever I wanted to hear. I wanted some check boxes that would say, oh, you're a lesbian, oh, you're bisexual. And nobody could provide that. It's a lot of wishy-washy gray space of depends on how you feel and all of this stuff, and that's not what I wanted because I was so confused that I didn't know how I felt. And recently, I mean, I think that I've become much more aware as to all the different sexualities via Tumblr, and I actually, in the last year, realized that I am pansexual. I'm not a lesbian, but I'm not really bisexual. While I can find someone pretty or handsome, it's not enough for me. I need to get to know them. And people who I didn't even think were that attractive at first, I slowly fell for when I actually got to know them as friends, and then I fall in love with them. So it totally makes sense that my first big romance was my best friend. Coming out for me, I kind of had an easy story. My friends were accepting, and I knew they would be. I kind of knew my parents would be accepting, even though I didn't get to actually have much of a choice to come out of the closet. They kind of pulled me out, and I did resent that for a long time, that I didn't get to make the choice myself. But you don't always get to, unfortunately. It's not that easy, and I don't know if I would have ever had the courage to come out if they hadn't actually come out and asked me about my relationship. So looking back, I'm kind of thankful that it just happened and I had to go with it and we moved on from it. But as far as tips for coming out, you need to make sure that it's safe to come out. That is my biggest thing that I can ever stress to you. You need to make sure it's safe. If you think that your parents could kick you out for being whatever sexuality you are, then you need to either have a safety plan where you can leave and have a relative that you can stay with or a friend that you can stay with, or you need to wait until you've moved out. And that may be really hard. You may really want them to know and not want to hide that part of you, but it's safety. Safety matters way more in the long run. There's all the time in the world. Okay, not all the time though. There's still time to come out. It doesn't change that you are who you are. It just means that you will be safe. In the incident that you do come out and you thought your parents would be 1000% okay with it and they weren't and happen to kick you out, you need to have done your research to know where you can go still. There are shelters. Obviously, you can contact your friends and family and see if any of them can let you stay there. Sometimes you just need to leave for a little bit if your parents are upset, just to let it blow over. It's not always easy for parents to take in that kind of big, shocking news, especially if they aren't suspicious beforehand. So sometimes it's best, if they're upset, you just need to take a deep breath and go spend the night at a friend's house. Go for a drive if you have a car. Just give them some space and give them some time to come to terms with it. That's my second biggest tip. Give them time. Your parents need time. And I know that is hard because it took a lot for you to be so vulnerable and come out of the closet. But they haven't been pondering this for days, weeks, months, or years. This is new to them, and they may not be accepting at first. They may not have welcoming arms when you come out to them. But give them time. Most parents will come around. Most parents value their relationship with you and love you. It just takes time. And that includes if your parents just ignore the subject and write it off. They could just be burying it and trying to deal with it, just like I buried the fact that I am pansexual for years. They need time to come to terms with it too, just like you probably needed time to come to terms with your sexuality. My next big tip is to reach out to other people who are in similar situations to you. There's Trevor Space, which is part of the Trevor Project. I will link all of that below. The Trevor Project is an amazing organization that helps the LGBT, on and on and on with letters, with suicide prevention, and they have a site. I'm not sure the quality of it now. I know last time I logged on they had tons of changes and I didn't know how to work it. But it's a good way to connect with other people in your situation, as well as Tumblr and other social medias. It helps to have someone to talk to. You need someone to talk to. Sometimes it helps if you have that one friend that you think will be accepting, that super liberal friend. Come out to them first. Take baby steps. Use safe people first until you get more comfortable with it. Have people to talk to and talk. It's scary. It's terrifying to come out of the closet, and you never know how people are going to react. And the more support that you have, the bigger support system, the better. So those are my 3 big tips. Make sure it's safe to come out. Give your parents or whoever it is time to digest the news, and reach out and connect with those who are in the similar situation or have been in a similar situation. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This one's very personal to me, so I appreciate that you're viewing it. Please like and subscribe and comment your coming out stories, or make a video about your coming out story. Spread the word. It's so important for people to hear these stories. Alright, bye guys.